Hi everybody, it's Mrs. MacPhail and
Mrs. Gonzalez.
here with another great math lesson for you today. Your objective is to use partial products to multiply multi-digit numbers. What's partial products, Mrs. G?
Well, we have a great vocab slide here that explains it.
Oh, hey, we do. Look at this. Okay, so partial products is a way to solve multiplication problems, and there's 3 steps to this, and we'll remind you this throughout the video. Number 1, you're going to break the problem into place value parts. Number 2, you're going to multiply the place values. And finally, number 3, you're going to add the parts back together. Now that sounds really confusing, but don't worry, we're going to walk you through it step by step.
Let's say I want to solve the problem 4 times 28. I want to think about this 4 multiplied by both of the parts of the other 2-digit number. This 2 is 20 and the 8 is 8. You can hear it when you say 28. You can hear the 20 and when you read that number. So I'm going to go ahead and use these squares over here to help me solve the problem. I want to shade in 4 rows of 20. This would be 10. And if I shade in another 10, that gives me 20. If I leave it just like this is 1 row of 20. I want 4 rows of 20. So I'm going to shade in 3 more rows. Here's another row, 3rd row, and a 4th row. Off to the side, I'm going to write what I did. I have 4 20s right now. And 4 20s, if I count them, this would be 20, 40, 60, 80. 4 20s makes 80 squares that are shaded. Now I have to think about the second part of that problem. I have 4 times 8. I'm already done with the 20 right here. I want to pretend that this is gone. I don't want to use it anymore. I want to think now about 4 times 8. I'm going to go over 8 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This would be 1 row of 8. I want 4 rows of 8. So I'm just going to shade in 3 more rows. 1, 2, 3. This little group that I've done in red now, right here, this is 4 8s. 4 groups of 8. And 4 8s, if I multiply 4 times 8, that will give me 32. And now what I need to do is add the parts together. I want to add the blue parts plus the red parts to get the total number of squares that I've shaded. So I'm just going to draw a line here and put in a plus sign. When I add, I want to make sure that I start with my largest place value first because I might have a lot of numbers to write down. My largest place value would be the tens, this column of numbers. I have 8, but remember this isn't just 8, it's 80 because it's in the tens place. And this 3 is 30. So I'm adding together 80 plus 30. 80 plus 30 is 110. I'm just going to write that underneath. Now I have to go back and I have to add the ones place. 0 plus 2. This really is 0 now and this really is 2 because these are just ones. 0 and 2 makes 2. And I need to be really careful when I write this 2 that I put it right underneath the ones. If I put this 2 over in the hundreds, if it was over here, then it would represent 200 and my answer would be way off. I have to make sure that I'm writing it right where it belongs, in this case the ones place. Now I'm going to put a plus sign and add my parts. 0 and 2 is 2, and then I have a 1 and a 1. My final answer is 112.
So Mrs. G, are you saying that if I were to go back and count all of those blocks that you just highlighted, we would have 112 blocks?
You are absolutely right, and you would have solved the multiplication problem of 4 times 28.
Very cool.
Here's the same problem we just did, 28 times 4. We're going to solve this problem without using the squares. And I want to remind you of these steps over here at the top of your screen. Step 1 says I need to break the problem into place value parts. Step 2, multiply the place values. And step 3, add the parts back together. Let's get started. I'm going to take this 4 times this 2, which really represents 2 tens. This would be 20. So I have 4 20s. I'm going to write that down below. 4, and I'm going to use a bracket. It's just like a parenthesis, and inside I'm going to write 20s. I have 4 20s. And if you think back to the problem with the squares, 4 20s made 80. Now, I finished the first part of it, but remember this little 8 over here wants to be multiplied too. So now I need to do 4 times 8. Both of these are in the ones place, so I can just do 4 8s. And 4 8s makes 32. You don't have to write the equal sign there. I just did that the last time. You can just leave it without the equal sign. 4 8s is 32. My last step is to add the parts. I'm all done, so I want to add. I'm going to start with my biggest place value. I have 80 plus 30 would be 110. And then I have 2 plus 0, which was 2. And then I add these parts together. It's right way down here at the bottom of your screen. I'm going to put a little plus sign, and my final answer then would be 112. And Mrs. McPhail is now going to show you the next problem.
Super duper. Those 3 steps really come in handy, don't they?
They do.
All right, friends, so here's your next problem. 34 times 2. So we're going to do the same thing. Remind you of the 3 steps in the upper left here. We're going to break the problem into the place value parts. Then we're going to multiply those place values. And finally, we're going to add those parts back together. So let's take a look at our problem. We first have to multiply our 2 by 3 10s because we have 30 and that's made of 3 10s. So the first thing we're going to do is write 2. I write my 2's a little funky. Hope you're okay with that. So we have 2 30s so that's our first multiplication step. And we know that 2 30s, if you count by 30s, 30, 60, that's going to be 60. All right. Next, we're going to go back and take a look at our 1s. So this time we have 2 4s because these are in the 1's place value. So we're going to write 2 and then in brackets 4s. So knowing my basic facts, I know that 2 times 4 is equal to 8. So you can see how we did step 1 and step 2 so far. Notice where I'm writing my 8. I'm following it up in the 1's digit because that's what it is. So we've done 1 so far, check. We've done 2 so far, checky check. And now we're going to do 3, add those parts back together. So once again, this time we're going to start with our largest place value to add them together. Notice I don't have anything next to the 8 because it's just the 1's place, but I do have a 6 in the 10's place. So I'm just going to bring my 6 10s down. And I have 0 in the 1's place here, but an 8 in the 1's place. So 60 plus
Hello?
8.
Hi, Ms. Gonzalez.
Well, hello there.
All right, one last one for you guys. This time we have 3 digits multiplied by 1 digit. Same process. We're first going to break the problem into the place value parts. Then we're going to multiply the place values and finally add the parts back together. This time I have the number 403 times 5. I'm going to start with my biggest place value, which would be my 400s. And notice I have a 4 in the hundreds place, so I'm going to multiply 5 times the 400s, or also that means I have 5 400s. And I can use some of my basic facts here. I'm not afraid of those extra zeros in there. I know that 5 times 4 is 20. And remember that little sneaky squirrel trick we taught you about how you can add on those extra zeros? Also, you could count by 400s 5 times, and that would also get you to 2,000. Next, we're going to look at our tens place, and you can see that we don't have any value in our tens place because we have a 0 there. So we're going to do 5 zeros, and 5 times 0, you know, gets us to 0. So that's going to be our next one. Slide that 0 all the way over here, try to keep it in the 1's place. And then finally, we look at the 1's digit. So we have 5 3s. So 5, and then in our brackets, we're going to write the 3 because that's what we have. We have 3s. And 5 times 3 gets us to 15. All right, so far we've done steps 1 and 2. We've broken our problem into the place value parts, our hundreds, tens, and ones. We multiplied our place values, and now we're going to add those parts back together. I'm just going to slide all of this over to the side over here so you can see. And I'm going to write 2,000. We're going to add them all back together now. Please make note of where I'm going to write my digits because we have to keep track of our place value. In my tens, I ended up with a 0 because I didn't have any value in my tens place, so that's a 0. And finally, I ended up with a 15, so that is going to be one set of tens and then 5 ones. That makes up 15. So notice how I wrote my 15. All right, so this time I have 2,000. Bring that down, and I actually just end up with 15 at the end too because I didn't have anything. Ooh, that got really big. In my tens, so 2,000 plus 15 at the end of the day is going to be 2,015, and that is going to be your answer to that. So just keep those couple of steps in mind as I write this answer really close to the bottom of the screen down here.
That's so cool that you're multiplying such big numbers now, Mrs. McPhail. You got an answer in the 2000s.
Right?
That's amazing.
I couldn't do that at the beginning of the school year. And if I look at this too and kind of estimate it, I know that 400 times 5 is going to be pretty close to 2,000, which is what my answer turns out to be.
Amazing.
Amazing. All right, kids, one last reminder.
Remember, step 1, break the problem into place value parts. Step 2, multiply the place values. And step 3, add the parts back together.
See you later.
Bye.